If I could share one story about something that really impacted me in my work when I first started working with Think Dignity, just about 2.5 years ago. I was very social justice minded, an attorney ready to change the world one client at a time, right? And so I would wear a suit everywhere I went. I was meeting with the client who I tried to meet with on 4 separate occasions, and each time he didn't show up for the appointment. He finally gave me a call, and he said that he was ready to meet near a park where he was staying at. And when I met him at the park, I asked him, do you have the bank statements that I had been requesting? And he didn't have them. So I asked him why not, and he tells me it's because he didn't have a printer to print them. And I'm like, of course he doesn't have a printer. So I asked him if he went down to the bank to get the bank statements, they could print it for him. He tells me they're going to charge him $3, and he doesn't have $3.
Wow.
So I ask him, I look up the nearest bank, I see that it's 2 blocks down the street. So I ask him, why don't we walk there together and I'll pay for the fee? And he tells me that he can't walk because he's not feeling well. And when I ask him why not, he tells me it's because his stomach is burning in pain because he can't remember the last time he ate. I luckily had a sandwich in my bag, and I gave it over to him, and I noticed that he didn't eat it right away. Fun fact about myself, I really love mustard, so there was so much mustard on this, I thought, nobody likes mustard as much as I do. It's probably because the mustard is oozing out of the sandwich. So I ask him, is it because of the mustard? And he tells me, no, it's because he wants to split it with his friend, who also had not eaten anything in days. I later found out that the reason he didn't make our 4 previous appointments was because he was literally homeless, 19 years old, literally homeless, had nowhere to be at night, and was too afraid to sleep. So he would walk all night long. And in the morning, he would sneak into his friend's apartment, who was living in a transitional housing unit. You're not allowed to have anybody over, but he would sneak in to get a couple of hours of sleep during the day. And by the time he woke up, tried to get anywhere, most things were getting ready to close, so he couldn't get a lot of things done. And that really shaped the way that I saw myself as both an attorney and an advocate for this population, right? I realized then that it wasn't just my law degree that was going to make me change the world, right? It's your compassion for folks that are down and out, right? And really understanding that a lot of the times, especially with the legal issues, people think, well, they should have just dealt with their legal issues, right? But it's, if your basic needs are not being met,
Right.
your first priority isn't showing up to court for a ticket for hopping the trolley without paying a fare.
Yeah, that's
right?
spot on.
So your first line of thinking is, where am I going to find shelter? Where am I going to find my next meal? How am I going to get hygiene products? Where am I going to use the restroom? Where can I get some water?
My stuff?
Where can I leave my stuff?
Right.
Right? And so I think that we really need to understand this like holistically, right? Understand the causes of homelessness, right? That we live in San Diego where the cost of living is really high and wages are remaining stagnant. That a lot of folks are experiencing interpersonal violence and don't get access to the resources that they need. Sure, there are people with mental illness and substance abuse, but sometimes those start after homelessness, right? We don't talk about the mental illness that begins because of experiencing homelessness, the amount of folks experiencing PTSD because they are living in homelessness, right? We don't talk about the people that begin using substances because it's easier to cope with homelessness after the fact, right? And so that it's not just the cause of homelessness, that it's also an effect. So how do we front load the resources to make sure that we can fill those gaps before people fall through the cracks?